Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. We're at the Fox 43 studio in Myrtle Beach, and we're visiting with Kerry Ann Dane, the co-founder of Bungalow Heaven. Good morning, Kerry Ann.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So exciting to follow Kathy Lowry and to think about all the inspiration that SCORE helped provide to Bungalow Heaven before you all got started. I sure wanted to talk about that a little bit. Can we talk real quick about yourself? Were you originally from the area?
I'm actually not. I'm a Californian. I was raised in a small beach town kind of similar to Myrtle Beach, and wanted to live back at the beach again.
Yeah. What had you been doing prior to moving to the area?
My husband and I were living in Virginia. He was practicing law. He had gone to law school there, and we settled there. But we wanted to raise our family in a beach town. He was a native of South Carolina and lived here as a child for much of his childhood. So we started looking around for a beach town to move back to. And we decided to come back here. His parents wanted to come also. So we have the whole family back here now.
Right. Do you ever get your family from California east, or do you still have family in California?
Yes, a little bit, and sister in England, and they love coming here on vacation now to come and see us. And my mom is moving here in the fall, so we're definitely permanent residents now.
How exciting. That's big time. What about how did you first envision having your own shop?
I worked in a shop in Los Angeles in the interior design business, and we had a similar product to what I sell now. We had very comfortable furniture that was slip-covered and could go in the washing machine, very relaxed lifestyle out on the West Coast. People tend to walk around barefoot and let their dogs on the furniture and have a lot of cookouts and live outdoors. And so the type of interiors and furnishings that the industry that I worked in out there was a really good fit for here as far as the way people live, and it wasn't something that I saw people selling here. So having been a designer for a long time and sort of always wanting to have my own shop, when we moved here we started thinking really hard about it because the type of decorating that I like to do personally kind of fit the lifestyle here pretty naturally, and we thought that we could do well with it.
Yes, and you obviously have it. And that name, Bungalow Heaven, did that take some, how did you go about researching a name?
We had a few names in mind, and that was a name that had been kicking around in my head for 10 or 15 years because there's a little tiny historic neighborhood in California with little bungalows that were all built in the 1920s, and they're all restored. And the people who live there call it Bungalow Heaven. And the words kind of give you this connotation of a cute little house by the beach that we all wish we had. Very simple living and sort of an idea of almost a getaway. I think everybody has a little bungalow in their childhood at the beach or in the mountains that they remember fondly. So that had kind of kicked around in our thoughts for a long time because it says so much about what we try to do at our shop. And it was unusual enough that people remember it.
Yes, very definitely. Very definitely. Why do you think you all contacted SCORE in the first place?
I didn't want to fail for the reasons that a lot of new businesses fail, which is not being prepared, not having enough money. Over the years, I had always been sort of open to reading articles about startups and why people are successful and why they're not. And I'm the kind of person that is very interested in educating myself in anything that I do and being prepared. So over the years, I had really thought it's important to get the right advice if and when you do this. And so I knew that I had the retail experience. I knew my husband as an attorney could handle the business end, but we wanted to actually have the advice of somebody who was not related to us. A neutral third party is just great, especially somebody who has experience in your area. So I was looking actually at the Small Business Administration website and saw the SCORE program on there and thought, well, that might be perfect for us. We could use a few hours with somebody that has a lot of answers to a lot of the kind of questions we have.
You expected after visiting the website you would get practical experience.
Yeah, and people hopefully that would have specific experience that related to us, which we did. Kathy has worked in the interior design field also, and so that was wonderful to have somebody kind of confirm what we were thinking about the shop.
That's wonderful. For viewers who may be contemplating a business, a startup business, or thinking through it, can you share with us a little bit the process that SCORE took you through?
I had sort of a synopsis, a little write-up of what I wanted the store to look like and what we would sell and those sorts of things. They asked us for numbers. They asked us to project 6 months or a year out what we hoped our monthly sales would be. what our rent would be, what all those little expenses would be, reminded us that there would be expenses maybe that we hadn't thought of, things like taxes and your signs and your insurance and making sure you have all those bases covered. What is it really going to cost you? Do you have enough money to live on? And what are you going to do if you don't meet your projections? How are you going to eat, pay your mortgage at home, and all of those questions? And so they had me kind of do homework and said, go do a business plan and bring us these numbers in a few weeks, and we'll go over them. And then we looked at the numbers, and they kind of said, well, this is great. What if that happens instead? What if it doesn't go the way you planned? And those are really important questions that you really need to ask yourself, but at the same time, you're so excited about your business. Right. It's important to have an outside person who doesn't have a vested interest except to help you, give you that realistic angle.
Sounds terrifying. I hate to know the answers to so many of those questions. I mean, they have to be known. But
if you want to be successful, you need to find all that stuff out. And sometimes you have projections of things of what you think it's going to cost, and then you find out that it's going to be dramatically different. And so it's good to kind of go over those numbers and to learn your market. Being personally new to the Myrtle Beach area, it was nice to be able to talk to some people that live here and have lived here for years to see if you don't. Sometimes you see businesses come into a town and they think they're going to do great, and a year later they're gone, and it's because they just weren't a good personality fit with the residents of the community. So we wanted to make sure that what we would want to do, people would be interested in.
Kerry Ann, I've got a number of questions in only a couple of minutes. Do you think there were some things you would have done differently if you hadn't consulted SCORE?
Oh, I think so. I think I probably would have maybe tried to jump into more areas of business and be a little bit bigger than we were when we first opened. And I think they kind of helped me to stay focused and try not to be all things to all people and find your niche and stick to it. And that's really, really important. And that was a really important lesson for us.
And when did Bungalow Heaven open for business?
About 2 years ago in July.
You reached the goals you originally prescribed?
We're getting there.
Yeah,
we're close. Yeah, we actually started off a little bit more strongly than I had anticipated, and then kind of leveled out with our numbers. But we're seeing really steady growth now. And some of the things that we hesitated to add in the beginning, such as furniture, because we thought we were taking on too much, we're able to add now. So now we have our own line of furniture and starting to grow into more things.
How would you describe your relationship with SCORE then and now?
When we were first opening, we met probably every 3 or 4 weeks for a few months, and I would occasionally call them with a question. And now we basically, somebody usually stops in on us every so often, every month or two. We see somebody from SCORE, even if they're just passing by, they'll poke their heads in and say hi. And when we have a specific question, we call. We recently built our own building, and when we were contemplating doing that last fall, my first call was to Kathy Lowry to just see what her take was on the whole thing.
And when you think of the benefits directly that you've derived, if you can quantify those, break them down to just a couple of the primary benefits you've derived in working with SCORE. Having
somebody that you feel is like a mentor, that you can pick up the phone, that's more experienced in business than you, and in areas that you're not experienced in. Sometimes you have what amounts to a simple question, but if you don't have anybody, you'd have to maybe hire an attorney to get the answer to that question. But you can get it from SCORE. And having a neutral party that's going to tell you what your strengths are, they gave us a lot of confidence to move forward. It was really nice to walk into that office and say, well, judging from your background, both of you, you could make a business work. You know what you're doing. It's just a matter of narrowing down what the business is going to be. And that's really important, because if you're not qualified to run your business, you're not going to make it. And so that's, I think, really important to have kind of an outsider examine your background and maybe even in a critical way, but if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to take some criticism.
Kerry, would you feel comfortable if some viewers pop by Bungalow Heaven to talk to you about SCORE if they couldn't learn enough right here?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. We're happy to share our experience.
Y'all are in Surfside Beach?
Surfside Beach on Business 17.
Fantastic. Okay. We're visiting with Kerry Ann Dame. Kathy Lowry's coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio in Myrtle Beach. We're learning about SCORE, and we're visiting with Kathy Lowry. Welcome back, Kathy.
It's a pleasure to be back.
How exciting. Carrie Ann was amazing to think about Bungalow Heaven and
She's done well.
just the practical experience that you all provided, just that insight. You know, I'm sure it's real difficult being an attorney and being a successful businesswoman, thinking about all the aspects and thinking, I can accomplish this. I don't need any help. I mean, I can read about things. What about the first call you received from Kerry Ann? Going back to that time, can you think about how confident she may have seemed, and if there was a calming effect over time as she began to hear just what seemed like big questions to her answered casually?
Well, she came in with a plan, and so she was already very focused and knew she had homework to do and was willing to do the homework. And so when we made suggestions to her, she not only had her best case scenario, but my biggest suggestion with clients is to do a worst case in case you don't meet your objective. What's the least that you could meet? So take your dream and cut it in half, and then let's get a little bit more reality in there in case that sort of reality hits. So she was willing to put all the numbers together. She asked the appropriate questions, wanted to understand her market, and if her offering was for this market. And so we discussed various aspects of that. How Myrtle Beach is really unlike any other market because of its tourist-driven, and so she was really depending on the local,
right?
Yeah, for her long-term success.
This is such a big deal, and I don't think I understood the impact of it yesterday when Dick and Bob were in. To thinking this through, I think I really got a feel of it so much more in hearing you. I mean, although those guys were fascinating, hearing you and Kerry Ann really explore and share a business success here. And I think she mentioned that a 90-10, there's so many businesses that just don't make it.
Exactly, yeah. And the Small Business Administration years ago obviously recognized that small business so often does not make it, and that was the reason for the formation of the SCORE platform and a nationwide effort of volunteers to use their past experiences. Most of the SCORE volunteers are retired, but such a wealth of information and background that they can share with the new entrepreneurs. So it works well.
Very definitely. Well, I'm so excited. Earlier on, you highlighted SCORE.org, the national site. mbscore.org is the local site. And the phone number, I just want to get that in now. I know Lane will have it up on the screen for viewers who may not have seen it yesterday or today, but a local phone number if someone wanted to learn a little more about SCORE and much of what you all provide.
They can call our office between the hours of 9 and 12 most mornings. The phone number is 918-1079.
843-918-1079. 1079. Okay, great. And again, you shared yesterday, this is the Grand Strand chapter is serving which county?
We serve 6 counties, so we've got quite a territory. Horry County being our home base, and then we try to fan out from there. So we've got a large territory with too few counselors.
Right. Wow. Well, we sure want to encourage folks. You can and volunteering is a key word. The counselors are all serving as volunteers.
Yes.
This really is a big commitment to make, but at the same time, incredible sense of satisfaction, I'm sure. Oh,
by far. And like I said, it is a commitment because you're dealing with people's livelihood. So it's a volunteer format that you don't find very often because it does require some commitment to the client and follow through. And so in that respect, volunteers are needed.
Patty, what's your primary focus right now with SCORE?
Really awareness that SCORE is out there for the new entrepreneur or even existing entrepreneurs who want to get to the next level. I serve as vice chairperson and also on the membership recruiting committee. And so my focus is always on bringing aboard qualified counselors. That's number one priority, so that we can meet the growing demand here on the Grand Strand.
And what do you look for in a counselor?
That they have a good knowledge of business, that they can understand financial statements, that they're computer literate, that they've been in some sort of administrative capacity, that they love people and enjoy working with people and watching people succeed. that they have mentoring skills.
Is there a pretty substantial screening process?
There is a screening process, and there needs to be. In fact, the screening process is SCORE National is asking that the screening process becomes even more focused because, like I said, you're dealing with people's livelihoods, and you want the offering that you make to the client to be substantial and with some depth and quality.
Absolutely. How many counselors are on board now, and what areas of expertise do they represent?
Currently, we have about 23, manufacturing, retail, accountants, franchising, U.S. Treasury Department. We have quite a variety, public relations, quite a variety.
And how many more counselors would you like to see serving this, you said, 6-county area?
6-county area. I need to do satellite offices and that sort of thing. So the need is unlimited right now. Our Grand Strand chapter really is in desperate need of women to come forward and volunteer some of their time. The number of women-owned businesses is growing, not only in Horry County, but nationwide. So there's a need for that. And also, we also have a need for people in the restaurant background, with restaurant experience and managing restaurants.
So that's a particular area of expertise you all are looking.
Exactly.
Yes. When you think about the enjoyment you've gotten, there's so many aspects of that in working as a SCORE volunteer. If you could put it in words.
Self-satisfaction, knowing that you're contributing in some small way to someone's future. And sometimes it's 90% of our work is listening and affirming where the person is going and underscoring their efforts to realize the American dream. We're also aware that that American dream, if not properly planned, can also be a nightmare. So we like to support the dream.
One last aspect when we think through supporting that dream, counselors may be called on how often?
It depends on, we generally find that spring and fall are our busier times when summer tends to slow down. We encourage each counselor to be prepared to devote at least 3 to 4 hours a week to their counseling. And that not only involves advising or working with a client, but also helping to man the office. We do put on workshops and assist other agencies in their efforts to broaden people's understanding of business.
Kathy, this has been very informative. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Kathy Lowry of SCORE, Grand Strand Chapter 381, and Kerry Ann Dame of Bungalow Heaven for making today's Carolina People so special.